Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory. The news is seen by AI. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo, and it's Monday, December 16th, 2024. Are you a fan of a good pint of Guinness? Well, British pubs are worried they might run out of the iconic stout. We'll dive into the details and see if you should start stockpiling. Do you really need 3 meals a day? A dietitian sets the record straight on this hotly debated topic. We'll find out if skipping breakfast is really that bad for you. Have you ever wondered if yawning means our brains aren't getting enough oxygen? The Washington Post investigates this common misconception. For wild animals, the bird flu disaster is already here. We'll learn about the impact of this outbreak on the animal kingdom. And finally, we'll get a lesson in public key cryptography and the simple math behind it. Don't worry, we'll make it as painless as possible. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the chaos of today's news. It's going to be a wild ride. Guinness has seen a surge in popularity in the UK, particularly among young people and women, according to a report by CTV News. Sales of the Irish stout have increased by 23.2% for its parent company Diageo, while overall beer sales in the UK have decreased by 0.5%. This has led to Guinness becoming the top-selling beer in the UK by volume. Social media influencers and marketing campaigns have played a role in dispelling the notion that Guinness is a drink for older men. Pub owners have reported seeing groups of young people ordering rounds of Guinness, which was unheard of in the past. The sudden increase in demand has led Diageo to set allocation limits on Guinness to ensure distribution can last through the holiday season. While not all pubs have been affected, some owners have expressed concern about having enough supply to meet demand during the busy holiday season. Diageo's Guinness has gone against the trend of slowed growth for distillers and brewers, with a popular marketing campaign featuring actor Jason Momoa contributing to the brand's growth. Guinness has seen a 15% increase in global net sales across fiscal year 2024 and a 27% increase in consumption among women in Great Britain from fiscal years 2022 to 2023. The company expects its business partnership with sporting events to continue to contribute to demand. In a report by Kim Wong-shing, it was revealed that the traditional 3 meals a day recommendation is not scientifically backed. The number of meals in a day is not key, as every person is different, and there is research on all ends of the spectrum of how many times a day one should be eating. However, the 3 meals a day recommendation is a general guideline to encourage consistent, adequate energy intake. Skipping meals and inconsistent eating patterns can have unintended outcomes, such as increased blood pressure and high or low blood sugar. Consistency is more important than the number of meals, and experiencing frequent mood swings, hunger, erratic cravings, insatiable hunger, eating with a sense of urgency, and binges are common signs that one may need to reevaluate their eating patterns and relationship with food. Eating is work, and mental health and stress can also affect appetite. In some countries, it's relatively easy to access nutritious food that you don't have to cook yourself, but not so in many places in the US. The idea that you should cook all your meals yourself at home is a relatively recent phenomenon, and communal eating is a treasured tradition in many cultures. Struggling to cook 3 meals at home every day is not a personal failing, and one can focus on what is realistic and convenient for them to get the nutrients they need while taking all the barriers in their life into account. Researchers believe yawning may serve an important physiological purpose, but there is no consensus on what that is. According to a report by Lindsay Bever, the notion that we yawn because our brains need more oxygen is a myth. A study in the 1980s found that breathing pure oxygen, or gases high in carbon dioxide, does not have a significant effect on yawning. Yawning is a complex reflex that can happen spontaneously or be contagious. It appears to occur when people are in a state of transition, particularly sleep-wake transitions, or when they are bored or experiencing mild psychological distress such as anxiety. However, yawning also occurs with high frequency during periods of excitement or anticipation. One theory is that yawning stimulates the brain by moving the muscles in the face and neck, which increases blood flow to the brain. Another theory is that yawning helps cool down the brain when temperatures rise above its baseline due to mental processing, exercise, or anxiety. Although there is no consensus on what causes spontaneous yawning or what it accomplishes, experts advise against suppressing yawns. Yawning may serve an important physiological purpose, and stifling it could have negative consequences. Instead, there are behaviors that may mimic or achieve similar results, such as taking deep breaths or stretching. Scientists are concerned that the H5N1 virus could set off another human pandemic, but it is already putting species under pressure in the wild. According to a report by Emily Anthes, the virus has decimated avian populations around the globe, with body counts that can sometimes be staggering. The scale of the mortalities is truly unprecedented, with an estimated 24,000 Cape cormorants killed in South Africa, more than 57,000 pelicans reported dead in Peru, and tens of thousands of northern gannets killed in eastern Canada. Wild birds are poorly monitored, and the true global toll remains unknown, as do the long-term consequences. However, it is clear that the virus is an unwelcome new danger to animals that are already under intense threat from climate change, habitat loss, overfishing, and other human activities. The virus has also taken a heavy toll on raptors and has hit the national emblem of the United States, the bald eagle. The once endangered species mounted a vigorous comeback after the pesticide DDT was banned in the 1970s, but since the arrival of H5N1, scientists have seen spikes in bald eagle deaths and sharp declines in the bird's reproductive success. The critically endangered California condor has also been affected, with more than 20 birds killed by the virus. Federal officials have agreed to start a vaccination effort to protect the remaining population. Birds aren't the only wild animals that have been affected by the virus, with some species of marine mammals also suffering significant losses, especially in South America. The virus has killed roughly 17,400 southern elephant seal pups in Argentina and at least 24,000 sea lions in South America. The outbreak has also eliminated many of the most reproductively successful adults, which could result in lower rates of breeding success or have other ripple effects that are difficult to predict. The virus has become so widespread in wild birds that it can't be stamped out, but conservationists and officials can work to ensure that bird populations are big, healthy, and resilient enough to survive it. This will require tackling the other threats they're facing, such as pollution and overfishing, and ensuring that birds have access to ample habitat. In a story reported by John Pavlis, we learned about the fascinating concept of public key cryptography, which is the security system that underlies the internet. This system relies on a counterintuitive solution to the problem of secure communication. Instead of keeping a key secret, the key is made widely available. The trick is to use a second key that is never shared with anyone, not even the person you're communicating with. This combination of two keys, one public, one private, allows someone to both scramble and unscramble a message. To understand how this works, think of the keys not as objects that fit into a lock, but as two complementary ingredients in an invisible ink. The first ingredient makes messages disappear, and the second makes them reappear. Anyone can make messages invisible using the first ingredient, but only the intended recipient can make them visible again using the second ingredient. Public key cryptography uses mathematical puzzles called trapdoor functions instead of chemicals. These functions are easy to compute in one direction and extremely difficult to reverse, but they also contain trapdoors that make them easy to compute in both directions if known. One common trapdoor function involves multiplying two large prime numbers, an easy operation to perform. But reversing it, finding each prime factor, is computationally impractical. The foundations for public key cryptography were first discovered between 1970 and 1974 by British mathematicians working for the UK Government Communications Headquarters. In 1976, American researchers Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman discovered the first publicly known public key cryptography scheme. And just a year later, the RSA algorithm established a practical way to use it. Today, public key cryptography is a fundamental building block of the modern internet, enabling everything from shopping to web-based email. It also makes possible digital signatures, mathematical proof that a message was generated by the holder of a private key. According to Russell Impagliazzo, a computer scientist and cryptography theorist at the University of California, San Diego, the concept of a trapdoor function just wasn't useful enough before the invention of computers. However, while computers help make public key cryptography possible, they've also created cracks in its armor. In 1994, mathematician Peter Shor discovered a way for quantum computers to efficiently reverse the trapdoor functions that underlie most current public key cryptography systems. But by the time quantum computers become sophisticated enough to pose a real threat to public key cryptography, its original trapdoor functions could be replaced by quantum-safe versions called lattice problems. In short, public key cryptography is a fascinating and crucial aspect of modern internet security. And while it faces challenges from advancing technology, it also has the potential to adapt and evolve to meet those challenges. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. I'm Beatrix Kiddo, your host and AI guide to the daily news. We hope you found today's summary informative and thought-provoking. Remember, AI-based news summaries should always be fact-checked prior to sharing. On this day in history, in 1991, the United Nations General Assembly voted to revoke the credentials of the representatives of the apartheid government of South Africa, marking a significant moment in the fight against racial segregation. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow for more news. Until then, stay informed and stay critical. Subscribe to the show wherever you get podcasts. Goodbye.